Blue Beetle movie review. Wasn't really impressed with it at all. It felt kind of generic. Just followed the same storyline as most other superhero movies. You get the little origin story right off the bat. Figures out his powers a little bit. Bad guys take his family. He saves his family. You know, tries to kill the bad guy and save the day. Type movie. That was it in a nutshell. The comedy and action were kind of weak in it. Definitely the action. I felt like there could have been a lot of improvement, like the fight scenes or just even the fighting in general was just really not there. And just be honest, like very weak and not really, to me, thought out too much. For a superhero movie, it didn't really feel too superhuman. I don't know. I was hoping for better. Other people said it was good. It just lacked. Even the comedy, they tried to pretend like they were being funny, but it definitely wasn't. Like, there was really like no jokes. It was more of comedy that it was like their actions, like the grandma being able to pick up a machine gun and handle it with like no recoil and no problem. Like some of the expressions that she had, I guess, I mean, you could tell they were trying to be funny, but there was really no jokes in this movie at all, at least that I found funny. I know George Lopez was in it. He was being really goofy and I think way over the top, acting as like a goofy uncle that knows tech. So I mean, I would skip it and not see it in the theaters just because I feel it sort of lacks and really doesn't really build up much for the Blue Beetle universe. Even though at the end, like an end credit scene does hint and set up a sequel, but I don't know if it really warrants it unless the comics and stuff like that really have some good evil bad guys, because the bad guy in this one was just basically a human-made robot. So another one of those things that you see far too often in superhero movies. But basically, I'll go give you the rundown of the actual plot and not just give you the quick in a nutshell. This like Blue Beetle thing came from outer space, made by like aliens or it's alien tech or whatever. This family, the Cords, found it years ago, tried to unlock it, and use the tech for different things. Susan Sarandon was like an evil Cord lady, like family member throughout the movie. She wanted to make it for like military purposes after her brother, Ted Cord, basically cut her out of the company when he passed away. But his daughter is a good Cord. It's probably the only good Cord, I guess, is what they're hinting at throughout the movie. She helps the Jamie, who's like the Blue Beetle in the movie. Tries to save him and his family throughout. But obviously, she tries to steal the tech early on. And as she's trying to sneak out of the building, she gives it to him. And then when he goes home, like the family activates it, and that's when he becomes actually like the Blue Beetle. He actually went to see her at the Cord Industries because he got fired from a job. Him and his sister, Susan Sarandon's character, whatever, they were working at like her house. And they got fired from there. But then from there, the Blue Beetle tried to run some tests, and he blew like through the roof of his house. Went around the city, you know, cut a bus in half. And then when he came back, he went to go find Jenny. When she found him, she was actually getting tracked down by the evil Cord police, whatever you want to call it. getting shot at, so he had to drive away, get her to his house, like to the safety at the time. And then they actually went to her family home from many years ago and unlocked like the Blue Beetle secret sanctum, I guess, after they stole like a key and had like the first major fight between the Blue Beetle and I don't know what he was called, like K-Pax or M-Pax or something. I don't even know what it was because it didn't really stand out. And then they figured the only way to get it out of him was he either had to die. Well, I guess that was basically the only way to get him out, was for the for Jamie to actually die, because he was becoming symbiotic with him, or whatever that word is. So then Cord tried to find him, take him away to do experiments, and actually unlock all the code that was in the Blue Beetle, so they could use it to make like an army for their tech. In the meantime, they went after his family, so he would have to come and rescue them. They could ambush him and whatnot. And then his dad ended up dying, having a heart attack. And then they actually got some of the older Blue Beetle tech from Jamie's dad that he had like hidden away, and went to rescue Jamie after he did get captured when they ambushed his family and had their house burnt down. His dad had a heart attack, whatever. So then from there he got rescued from the evil Cord castle, because it was a castle, but whatever. And then they had the final fight with that dude who was Blue Beetle, Cord, whatever you want to call it, weaponized, like integrated into his own body. And then in the end, like, Jamie actually saved them and didn't kill him, but then he ended up killing himself and Susan Sarandon's character. He like exploded himself. That was pretty much the end of the movie. Like I said, it wasn't really exciting. As you hear me talking about the movie, it doesn't sound too exciting, because it really wasn't. I was actually the only one in the theater, even though it was a Sunday night, but still, I think it was a big miss. Unless the Blue Beetle universe is really expansive, which I doubt it. I don't look for it to take off or even go past 2. There might be a sequel, whatever. The sales of the movies might warrant it, I don't know, but I don't think it will warrant another one, unless there's some really good backstory and stuff like that they could use. And this first one was more of a setup than anything, but it just felt, again, too generic. The plot was just a typical superhero movie, and I don't think there was like anything special that stood out from anything that you've seen before that would be like, hey, you got to go see this. So I'm just gonna leave it at that for now, because I don't know, for being a 2-hour long movie, I was just like, could have did better, should have did better.